You're not just fighting numbers. You're fighting feelings. You can read every money book, follow every finance channel, set every system, and still find yourself overspending, avoiding bills, or freezing every time money comes up. Not because you're dumb. Not because you're irresponsible. But because your nervous system learned, very early, that money is tied to shame, guilt, and fear. Part 5 is not about another strategy. It's about healing the emotions that keep pulling you back to broke, even when your logic knows better. In Part 1, you changed your story. In Part 2, you exposed your hidden money beliefs. In Part 3, you built systems so you didn't need willpower. In Part 4, you upgraded your environment and your circle. But there's still a problem. Every time you start doing better, something in you gets scared, overwhelmed, or guilty. And you pull back. That something has a name. Money shame. Financial guilt. Fear of success and visibility. Trauma responses disguised as bad with money. If you don't deal with this layer, you will keep rebuilding the same financial situation, no matter how many times you restart. Psychologists make a crucial distinction. Guilt says, I made a mistake. Shame says, I am the mistake. Guilt can be useful. If you overspent or ignored a bill, guilt can push you to fix it. To apologize to yourself, adjust, or take responsibility. But shame? Shame doesn't say, I did something wrong. It says, I am wrong. Research on financial shame shows that when people feel ashamed about money, they are more likely to avoid bank apps, ignore statements, and disconnect from their finances completely. That means, the more ashamed you feel, the less you look at money. The more chaos grows in the dark. The more ashamed you feel. This is called a shame spiral. So if you've ever thought, I'm just bad with money, I'll never get this right, I always screw it up, you're not describing your personality. You're describing a nervous system stuck in a shame loop. Money doesn't just hit your mind. It hits your body. Therapists who work with financial trauma describe patterns like overspending as soothing, shopping when stressed, lonely, or anxious. Financial avoidance, not opening bills, not checking balances, delaying decisions. Freeze response, feeling paralyzed when trying to budget or plan. One article put it perfectly. You're not bad with money, you're in a trauma response. Your brain is not thinking, what's the best financial move? It's thinking, how do I stop this feeling right now? Swipe the card for a dopamine hit. Buy something to feel worthy or in control. Look away from the bank app so the panic quiets down for a moment. The relief is real, but short-lived. Then comes more shame, more fear, more self-attack, which pushes you back into the same coping behaviors. This is why you can know exactly what you should do with money, and still not do it. You're not fighting laziness. You're fighting your nervous system's survival strategy. Now let's talk about a quieter, more hidden fear. The fear of what happens if you actually win. People talk a lot about fear of failure. But money psychology also talks about fear of success and visibility. If I earn more, people will expect more from me. If I get rich, I'll become a target. If I make it and lose it, I'll look like a joke. Even very wealthy people secretly worry about losing it all, being judged, or being seen as bad or greedy. So your brain quietly reasons. If staying small keeps me safe from jealousy, judgment, or pressure, maybe it's safer not to grow financially at all. This fear can show up as procrastinating on opportunities, pulling back right when things start working, Undercharging so no one can accuse you of taking too much. Again, this isn't stupidity. It's emotional self-protection. Your brain is trying to protect you from rejection, embarrassment, being seen and then criticized. So it quietly negotiates. Let's just stay at a level that doesn't attract too much attention. Enough theory. Let's walk through a simple healing protocol you can start today. Step 1. Name the emotion, not just the number. Next time you feel triggered around money, before you open the app, reply to the bill, or avoid the conversation, pause and ask, is this guilt, I did something? Or shame, I am something? Say it out loud if you can. This is guilt, I overspent. This is shame, my brain is telling me I am a failure. Research shows that simply labeling an emotion activates parts of the brain that help you regulate it. Shame thrives in vagueness. Once you name it, it loses some of its power. Step 2. Switch from self-attack to self-repair. If it's guilt, ask, what is one reparative action I can take? Examples. Move a small amount to pay down what you can. Adjust next week's spending. Write down what you want to do differently next time. Guilt used properly says, I made a mistake, so let me repair it. If it's shame, your first action is not financial. It's emotional. You might say, I feel like I am the problem right now. That's shame talking. I am allowed to learn. I am not my past decisions. You cannot budget from a place of self-hatred. You have to move from, I am broken to, I am learning. Step 3. Tiny exposure instead of total avoidance. Financial shame spirals are fueled by avoidance. Ignoring balances, not opening mail, waiting until things are urgent. So you practice gentle exposure. Instead of avoiding all numbers, commit to looking at just one account. Instead of a full detailed budget, jot down 3 main expenses today. Instead of a 2-hour money overhaul, set a 5-minute timer and do one thing. You're telling your nervous system, we can touch this without dying. Over time, your brain stops associating money with pure threat and starts associating it with small, survivable actions. This is the part that sounds cheesy until you understand the psychology. You have to feel safer in your body before your brain will let you hold more money. One article on money and well-being explains how chronic financial stress can feed depression, anxiety, and constant self-criticism. If every time your income rises, your inner dialogue is, who do you think you are? You're going to lose this. People will hate you. Your nervous system will treat wealth as a threat, not a gift. And you will unconsciously find ways to get rid of it. Just to feel normal again. So how do you begin to feel rich inside, even before the external numbers explode? Not by lying to yourself, but by practicing 3 inner signals. 1. Enoughness. Take 60 seconds each night to write, today, I had enough of. Support, food, knowledge, kindness, opportunities. This doesn't deny hardships. It tells your survival brain, right now, in this moment, we are not in absolute danger. That calm is the foundation for better decisions. 2. Worthiness. Write 1 sentence. Even if I have 0 Indian rupees/$0 today, my worth as a human is unchanged. That might sound obvious intellectually. But emotionally, most people have merged. Net worth equals self-worth. You're breaking that link. 3. Permission. Say this out loud. I am allowed to become financially secure without becoming a bad person. Many people secretly equate wealth with arrogance, greed, or losing empathy. Research on the psychology of wealth and empathy shows the relationship is complex, not automatic. Money doesn't erase your character. It amplifies it. If you are kind now, you can be kind with more. If you are thoughtful now, you can be thoughtful with more. Your nervous system needs that reassurance. Let's be honest. A lot of your money pain is not about spreadsheets. It's about moments you've never really spoken aloud. The time you maxed a card to feel less lonely. The time you lied about your balance because you were ashamed. The time you got scammed and never forgave yourself. The time you made money, and someone you loved made you feel guilty for it. So you built an identity that whispers, "I don't deserve to handle money well." Part 5 is your chance to answer that voice. Not with toxic positivity. Not with, "I'm a millionaire in my mind." But with something much more powerful. Yes, I've made mistakes with money. Yes, I've been scared, ashamed, avoidant. And I am still worthy of learning, healing, and building something better. Financial research is clear. Shame makes people disengage and stay stuck. Compassion plus responsibility helps them re-engage and move forward. So here's your Part 5 challenge. 1. Comment, "I choose healing over shame." And, if you feel safe, add one sentence. "I forgive myself for dash with money." 2. Give yourself one compassionate action in the next 24 hours. Oh, look at one account without attacking yourself. Oh, write a letter to your younger self about money, acknowledging what they survived. Oh, share one honest money feeling with someone safe, a friend, partner, therapist, or even in a journal. Your brain has heard "you're bad with money" 1,000 times. Let this be the first video that tells it the truth. You were never born bad with money. You were born into stories, stress, and systems that taught your body to panic around money. Now you're teaching it something new. That you can look at numbers without breaking. That you can grow without becoming a monster. That you can build wealth and stay human. If you're ready for the next level, where we combine everything from parts 1 to 5 into a complete "Stop Thinking Poor" roadmap, type in the comments, "I'm ready for the blueprint." And subscribe.